Do you have something inspiring to say? Have you always known that your voice can contribute to the world? Is now the time? Yes, now is the time. The world is waiting for you. Welcome to the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. Today, we have an inspiring guest who is ready to share their voice with the world. Now, onto the show.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I am Christine McIver. I am the host today of the Open Mic Spotlight Show, and I have another wonderful guest for you to learn all about today. She is a woman who has been putting her voice out in the world in a number of places and spaces. She also puts her penmanship out there. But today I get to highlight all about Carol Glover. Carol Glover is an amazing woman who is an author, a blogger, a business advisor, and so much more. She's a little quirky, a little geeky, warm and funny with a broad range of interests. She's also a complex thinker and can see almost anything down to its simplest form. True story. She's helped me in many cases in that way. Carol has her project management professional designation and over 20 years of intense corporate experience in which she has developed a keen, intuitive ability to meet business challenges with viable solutions. In 2009, Carol founded FireHorse Consulting Inc. and continues to provide management and advisory services through it. Applying creativity, agility, humor, and strength of purpose, she steers her clients to breakthroughs that simplify life and reduce stress. That's the smallest bio that I could imagine for her. Welcome to the show, Carol.
Hey, well, that's me taking it down to its simplest form.
There you go. You cracked me up. Oh my gosh, you're just so funny. So today Carol is definitely under the spotlight, and I know for Carol that that's not her most comfortable spot to be in.
Not at all comfortable.
Well, you're in good hands with me. Or so we'll let everybody think.
you had me calm down until that laugh.
Okay, well, it's just too much fun to play with you like this. So Carol Glover has been a host here on the Inspired Choices Network. She started out in 2014 with Work and a Life, and it was a very cool show where she really looked at both aspects of life and about balancing, and you had different guests on the show, phenomenal topics. And then, like all of us, you got interested in something new, and you started A Clumsy Girl's Guide to Greatness, correct?
Yeah.
And
that started because Clumsy Girl's Guide to Greatness started because I was tired of trying to be so professional, because it's not 100% me. So I thought it was time to be more me now that I was really finding my voice through Work and a Life.
Ah, okay, cool. Isn't that interesting how you evolved and more of the complete you came through as you were doing that show? That's very cool. Now, Clumsy Girl's Guide to Greatness had a birth of its own, and you actually had a book transpired through the creation of your radio show.
Yep.
How cool is that? And it's a wonderful book. I love it. Go ahead. Tell people what it's all about.
Well, it's basically a story of all the million places where I tried to fit in and be what was expected, and hiding all of the real me. And the number of times and the different ways that I would make a complete ass of myself or just trip over my entire life. Like, not only really just tripping over curbs and bumping into walls, that'll probably never stop. But, it's all the places that we trip in our lives trying to be what people expect us to be. And it's funny because the more I actually let myself out, the more people really seem to love me. And all this time, I thought that they wanted me to be something else. And I worked so damn hard to be something else.
Wow. Wow. And everybody out there who is just like, I could feel that shift in my body. How many of us out here in the world, you know, whether we're adults or we're young children, we're still in that space of trying to hold on to being right and fitting in and living up to someone else's expectations of the way it's supposed to be, or mimicking, like, you know, like kind of mirroring the way that other people are, like when we were kids, right? And when we you know, looked at our friends, it's like, I'm not part of that group. Did you ever have that? Like, I'm not really part of the in group.
I never ever was. I actually, even still, I have very few friends because I don't have that spot yet, or maybe ever, doesn't matter, where I really do fit in and where I can, or where I felt I could be 100% me. Now I don't care so much anymore, so.
You're getting better at it. So, Carol, if you were going to speak to, say, a girl, a 12-year-old girl out there, what's the one thing that you would say to her?
I would tell her, or I would say to her that she's right. All of the things she thinks and senses, she's probably right. And not to allow people to convince her otherwise. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that she has to always fight, but to be aware that she's not wrong and find her own way to work with, sometimes manipulate, and be okay with it all.
I wish you'd have said that to me when I was 12.
I wish I would have said it to me when I was 12.
I think you just did. Okay, we're going to have a moment. Just hang on a second, everybody. Will be back. No, I'm just... Carol and I have our own quirky little way that we speak to each other, which is, it's so interesting. Carol, we've got to tell the story about how we met, because it's an awesome story. It's one of those moments, and maybe it was one of those moments, Carol, where you and I didn't have to think about having a friendship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, probably. Because, well, all right, let's tell this story, and then I'll
okay, you go.
I'll backtrack a little bit. It was near the beginning of my independent professional career, so I was no longer in the corporate world, and I was starting to focus on advising smaller businesses on structure and process, and building a really strong foundation so that the business can grow and thrive without freak out. And so we were at a local trade show together, and I had my booth all set up. I had the black and red and the FireHorse, and it is a beautiful logo. I still adore it. And
it's your baby. Of course you adore it.
And then this woman comes along. I got there nice and early because I think it was my first trade show, and I had no idea what to expect or what I was doing. And then right past me whooshes this woman and starts with like bags and all this stuff that she was carrying, but it's like she was just carrying air. And she goes and she sets up all of these like gizmos and pretty things on her table, and the table was all purple and fun and really intriguing to me. So here I am being all stiff and formal like, looking at this woman going, how the hell is she having fun with this? But there were people all over your table the entire evening. You were having fun, you were pulling cards, you were laughing over there, and I'm like, fuck.
Okay, wait. Okay, stop. Don't tell any more just right now, because this is too good. Oh, God, I literally have tears rolling down my face. Okay, first of all, Carol's never told the story. What a big mouth I must have been, but I've never heard you tell the version. Okay? Number one, this is the best. I'm going to be replaying this again and again. I didn't know I was a whoosher, by the way. I didn't know I wished by people. That is going to be my new thing. I'm a whoosher. The second thing is, like, I totally remember that day, just like being like laughing and carrying on. Now we've got to say that your version of all these people around my table is a little exaggerated. If there were 20 vendors in this hall at this event, there were 10 people that actually attended the event. So I maybe had 6 people around my table at one moment. So you're exaggerating slightly. But I did have 6 of the 10. I will take that. But you make it sound like you're looking up over a big crowd trying to see me on your tippy toes or something.
Well, I am only 5 feet tall, so it kind of was. That's a natural thing.
You're only 5'2", so
that was to get over the table between us.
Oh my God, this is the best. Okay, continue. I'm ready. Oh God. Okay, so you're watching me.
I don't even.
So you're watching me, right?
And I'm of course curious. Okay, what's she got that I ain't got? Right. And then the evening sort of wore down, and Christine went for a break, and I went over to her table to see what it was all about.
I didn't know this either. This is good. Okay, go on. How many things did you take?
I don't think maybe a bookmark. I had to at least have taken a business card. So anyway, yeah, I don't know if we really did much other than, hi, I'm Carol, hi, I'm Christine that night. I don't think we actually really spoke much. And then I think it was probably a couple of months later, like I could not get Christine off my mind. It was the weird, and not in a stalker kind of way. It was, I don't know what she's got.
You just hit a funny bone today. Oh my gosh, Carol, this is awesome. Okay, so you could.
It must have been a couple of months later. I actually phoned Christine, and I think I said something like, I don't know why, I just need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then we made an appointment, and then for a few months, I would go to her place and cry for an hour and leave, and my life would be different.
Yes, people. Well, first of all, when she called me, and Carol, when you called me and you said, I don't know why, I think I need to see you, I'm like, okay. You know, it was like, I didn't give it a lot of significance, you know, for whatever reason why if someone feels like they connect with me is no biggie for me, whether it's one time or it's for a long period of time. It's not really any of my business. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times what I found is, you know, I was the poster child, just like you, Carol, the poster child of not fitting in, feeling like I never measured up. And I guess maybe I had taken a few steps in advance of where you had taken a few steps at that moment in time, had gotten to a little bit better place around that. Certainly not perfection by any means, but I had started my coaching my life coaching practice about a year before that, I believe, and it happened with a number of people where they would come into my space, and for whatever reason, their bodies were allowing them to let go. And it came out in often in tears and sometimes in a lot of laughter. But a lot of the time,
sometimes at the same time.
Sometimes at the same time, which was an interesting creation. But it was through that event that you and I did get to meet in this lifetime. And we've been dancing together ever since. I'm so grateful for that event. I am so grateful I whooshed by you and caught your attention because
me too.
You have been so much fun to create with and play with, and to call you my friend and to know that you're there, and to watch you never choose what's popular, but choose what totally works for you. And I really, really adore that about you, Carol. You set the stage for others to know what they know and to choose it. And so that's something I want to get into a little bit more after the break. So what a great way to start my Monday. Okay, everyone, we're going to go for our first break. When we get back, we're going to dive into more things all about Carol Glover. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
You're listening to Writing on Air, the show for writers and readers on Inspired Choices Network. Are you a writer with an interesting or inspiring story? Would your book, blog, or writing creation like to be featured on a global platform? We have an outstanding opportunity for your creations. Visit www.writingonair.net to find out how. You could even start with submitting a guest post to share your story or tools on our blog. Calling all avid readers. Submit a book review about a book you love or love to hate. Be a part of the community at writingonair.net and find us on Facebook.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show, and today I have a wonderful guest who is also a very close friend and colleague. Her name is Carol Glover, and Carol Glover is a very unique individual that is bringing her voice to the world in many different ways. So that commercial you just heard right before we came back was Carol's new creation here on the network. This is actually her third show, and it's one that she will tell you, and I want you to know that this is a lie. She'll tell you I tricked her into this show, and that is not true by a long shot.
Totally true.
That show is the Writing on Air radio show. So tell us all about that one, Carol.
We have on the network, and both hosts and guests, we have an amazing group, and several of the people are authors and bloggers. And one day I had a brilliant idea. I think it was in about November or something like that. I had a brilliant idea, and I Skyped Christine, and I said, hey, have you ever thought of having a show to interview authors? And she writes back, sounds great. When are you starting?
Well, go ahead.
And of course, I went into the, I don't even have time to read for myself now. How the hell am I going to find time to read for other people? And like to make it a worthwhile show, and to honor the authors who were a part of it. And the really cool thing is that now I make time to read. Mm-hmm. And I sort of bent it in my head that it was for the authors, but really what I'm getting out of these books has just been so far really amazing as well. So that just kicked off in February. So
that is so cool. And you know, the really cool thing is that Carol, you are an avid reader. You really are. And what I love about the way you look at books is it's very, very different than other people. When you look at a book, you want to sit down with it. You want to get to know it. You really want to get into it, not just read it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, at the time when you said this to me, I know I was being a smartass, which, you know, I'm very good at. But at the time when you said that to me, I was knee deep in so much creation.
Oh my God, I know.
Right? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is what went through in about a half a second. Are you kidding me? There's not a chance in hell I have time for that. And out of that came, when are you starting? So I'm really glad, because you have a different capacity with this than I would ever have. And, you know, I'm doing the Open Mic Spotlight show along with my own radio show. So it's perfect. And people, we missed you on the radio, Carol. So we're so glad that you're yes. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. We're so happy that you are back. Yeah, see, Keisha in the chat room says, yes, we did. So
thank you.
You're back, and I know that not only being an avid reader, but you are an author yourself, and I know that you're in the creation. You probably have more than one that you're in the middle of creating, correct?
Yeah, and a number of blogs as well now, suddenly. So, yeah.
Wow, woman. What do you do
find actually... What's that?
What do you do in your spare time?
What's that?
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually discovered that I am much better at blogging than I am writing a book, because I think one of the key reasons why is because I do break things down, and I'm efficient with my words. So writing a book was a real challenge for me, to put that many words around a concept that in my head, really I was done in five words. So that was a big challenge. But to write 500 to 700 words for a blog post, no problem.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
cool. That's awesome.
Makes a big difference. Yeah.
And besides the blog, you're creating another book or another couple of books?
I have 2 children's books sort of playing around in my world, and an art book, which is a lot about business. I don't know, that might just become a life book, because it's so one runs into the other so seamlessly. So, and that's using a lot of my photography.
Oh, cool. Yes, you're an amazing photographer as well. Like, yeah, Carol, you're not interesting at all. You shouldn't be on the radio. What?
I know.
You've got so much happening. I absolutely love it. Okay, so there's another area of your life and your creation that I've been so honored to be a part of, and I've been at the forefront, at the inception of it. And I would love to tell all of our listeners about that aspect of who you are. I
don't even know what you're talking about.
That has been a huge gift to me and to my business and to the network and to the people that are actually enjoying the network as where they bring their voice, as well as the listeners. You you don't realize that what you have created with your energy of business work has actually been a huge impact on this network and everyone that gets to participate in it. So can you please describe the energy of business work and how that began?
I can't believe I forgot about that. I guess that's that whole the things that you see so easily that come so naturally aren't necessarily the same for others. The energy of business work, it sort of came to me one day that, oh my gosh, I understand energetically what's happening with this business. I think I've always done it. I must have always done it because when I was in the corporate world, some of the directors that I worked with and the program managers that I worked with on projects, they would go into their big executive meetings and then they would come out, give me a few facts and say, okay, Carol, get your crystal ball out. What's really going to happen? Or what's really going on? Or what's really going on here? And how is this really going to play out? And, within a couple of minutes, I'd say, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Right? So I think it's always sort of been there. It's always been a capacity I've had. I was just never able to really see it for what it was and also see that other people couldn't do it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I've always been able to look at a machine and sort of guess what's wrong with, I'd say guess, but it would kind of tell me what's wrong with it or where to look at least.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so and I sort of see businesses as machines almost because there are more moving parts. There are they do have mechanics to them.
Cool. None of us understand you, but cool. When you first described it to me, you said, you know how the body has chakras? And I'm like, yeah. And you said, well, this is what's coming for me. It's like the business has different chakras. So the root chakra and so on and so forth. And I'm like, wow. Now, do you still see it that way, Carol?
A little bit. I still call them energy centers.
Okay.
And they're, rather than, they kind of associate to a chakra. It's about the foundations or the roots, the passion, the purpose, the information processing, and reaching out and receiving and communication, of course.
Cool.
So They do sort of relate to chakras in a human body, but they're, again, a little bit more mechanical, and they have a bit of a different function in the physical world than in the energetic world, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. That's cool. I've never heard you describe it like that. I
don't think I have, so thanks.
Okay, so we'll have to get that one written down. Okay, yeah. So all right. So these are, you've got a lot of varying things that you do, a wide variety. And I know at different points over the last few years, certainly since I've known you, you've been like, which direction am I going in and what am I focusing on? And, there's been a level of kind of, disillusion mixed in with lost, with maybe some self-judgment topped up with feeling that you couldn't focus, which, 99% of that all boils down to the judgment. What started to change for you? Because I know that that's not where you are today.
No, I'm definitely not there today anymore. I'm not exactly sure what it was that changed, but little bit by little bit, there were certain pieces, say, for example, my writing. I always thought that it had to be an either-or situation. So either I would focus on my writing or I would focus on businesses. I you're only allowed to do one thing, right? You're supposed to niche. You're supposed to pick a lane. And it wasn't until I started to, I just didn't want to give up some of the other things that I love so much. So it was more a desire to just find a way to do all of the pieces all of the things that really nourish me. Some of them are more for the money nourishment part, like the physical part, and some are for the more just life satisfaction side of things. So whether they make me anything, whether they serve anybody else, has less to do with it. And I'm still not willing to give them up, to sacrifice them for something else.
Cool. It really sounds like you've found that footing of feeling that confidence of who you are, and that's not defined, because it can change tomorrow.
It can change in 10 minutes. Some days.
Some days.
I still have times though when, oh my, damn it, I got to go to the office. I don't want to. I want to work on writing. I want to write till my hands bleed some days, but I have to go to the office. And those times still make me mental. And I get over it.
I get over it, just like that. I love it. Okay, I can't believe this. I haven't even gotten into my quote unquote questions yet, and we're halfway through the show.
They always scare me, so I'll keep talking.
Oh my God, you're so funny. Okay, we're going to go for our next break, and when we get back, we're going to dive into some of these questions, and we're going to enjoy more of who. Okay, the funny thing is, this woman rarely swears. So these two things that she said are cracking me up more than anybody knows. Anyways, you're listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back learning more about Carol Glover. Stay tuned, everyone.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
You're listening to Writing on Air, the show for writers and readers on Inspired Choices Network. Are you a writer with an interesting or inspiring story? Would your book, blog, or writing creation like to be featured on a global platform? We have an outstanding opportunity for your creations. Visit www.writingonair.net to find out how. You could even start with submitting a guest post to share your story or tools on our blog. Calling all avid readers. Submit a book review about a book you love or love to hate. Be a part of the community at writingonair.net and find us on Facebook.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show. I am Christine McIver, and I have the wonderful Carol Glover here with me. We've been talking all about Carol. We've been having a lot of laughs. My gosh, thank God I don't have any mascara on yet. Carol, where can people get in touch with you? Where can they find you if they would like to know more about everything you're creating or the Open Mic Spotlight radio show?
Okay, probably the best two sites. My main site is carolglover.ca. Okay. That has my blog and some of the random bits of me on it. And for the radio show Writing on Air, it's writingonair.net. Those are probably the easiest ways.
Nice.
On Facebook, on Twitter, on all that stuff, just search my name. I'm the cute one. You can't miss me. So.
Seriously, she never says these things. I love it. Oh my God, this is so awesome.
You started it, so.
Yeah, okay. You keep wanting to blame me. I'll take it, but it's so funny. Okay, so Carol, tell all of our listeners, what is inspiration to you?
Oh God. It's just something that randomly crosses my path and lights up my world for a moment or days.
Do you have certain things that light you up more than others?
I would say nature is like number one inspiration for me. Whether it's this just on Saturday we went snowshoeing up north with my sister and brother-in-law, and they had gone ahead. I was too busy, licking snow off of trees and stuff. So lagging behind a little bit, and I stopped, and suddenly I had chickadees nearly swarming me. They were in the trees and on the branches, like inches away from my face to say hello. Stuff like that absolutely inspires me. The way the light glints and makes it look like instead of snow, I'm looking at piles of diamonds. All of that stuff just completely lights me up. And those are the moments, too, that make me just want to sit down and write.
Oh, wow.
Just to share those moments and all of the gifts, like the gifts in a walk, the fresh air, the breeze, the sunshine, that most people miss on a daily basis because they're sitting there thinking they're miserable.
Ooh, I think there's a radio show right there. I love it. Carol, you live in the city during the week, and then you have this beautiful home in your cottage in Northern Ontario. And what do you do with yourself when you're home during the week in the city? Do you still find those moments?
It's not as easy. I am getting better at it. Not only do I live in the city, but I live in a condominium building, so there are hundreds of bodies surrounding me all the time that I'm home, and that can get a little bit intense. So a lot of times, if it's not getting to the cottage, I have to get outside into nature just to dissipate some of that intensity.
Right.
It's definitely not as easy to get those connections. Like, I barely have a bird flying by my window most days here in the city. It's not easy sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I
but
know
I
what you mean. Yeah. And besides all of the things that we've said you've done, you're also a bars facilitator. You do the tools, you utilize the tools of access consciousness. You're an amazing bars facilitator, and I know that there's a lot of people in the world that have been introduced to the bars because of you. So that is another thing that you do that maybe you've forgotten that you do, because you do a lot. Just thought I'd remind you of that.
It's just another thing.
Just another thing. Well, it's the thing that makes you happy when it makes you happy. So I think that's cool.
Exactly.
So, Carol, tell me, what is inspiring to you about you?
What's inspiring to me about me? I think it's my ability to see another side to anything. I think that's probably one of, and my little secret ironic brain that that sees the insanity of the world, and I just kind of have to shake my head. And I'm no longer a victim of it, which is really cool.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, how many of us still feel like we're at the effect of what other people are choosing, when in fact we're not at the effect of any of it. We're maybe just really super aware of it. And I know you are very aware, and I know that you pick up on all of these things with people. Not always fun, for sure.
Yeah.
But being aware doesn't necessarily mean you have to be at the effect of any of it. And I think that's where, most of us kind of get lost up in that, right? So
yeah, I think though that I've had I've been largely detached for a lot of my life. So it's been easier for me.
Well, yeah, and what does that detachment do for us though?
I don't know.
Well, part of the detachment, part of the detachment actually has us not be at the effect of it. But when we're detached, it's like we're cutting off information as well. We're cutting off awareness as well of what's going on around us. And while sometimes it can make it quote unquote easier, it also can cut us off from the awareness that's required to change something.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
For sure. Yeah.
And we talk a lot about receiving, right? When we're choosing to detach from something, we're not willing to receive from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm willing to receive from everything today. Not always easy. Not always the first line of choice, but it definitely is a place where we get more information. So, okay. So, Carol, tell me, what is important to you in the world? With all of the things that you create, with all of the interests that you have, with all of the places and spaces where you play, what is important to you in the world?
What's important to me is my connection to Earth, to nature. There actually, it's funny, there's stuff I really like, but I'm not sure that there's a ton that's really important to me.
Okay.
That's
okay.
What's really important to me is fairness. And I get really, really riled up when I see unfairness in the world.
Okay.
I have blown my top embarrassingly on more than one occasion by things not being fair or being unkind. So that's obviously important to me. It's more the softer side of life that's really important to me. It's the connection to nature. It is being kind to people and people being kind to each other and to the earth. So yeah, I think that's probably most important to me.
And what about your family?
Yeah, they're all right.
You're so funny. Carol is happily married to a saint.
He's gotta be.
Exactly. And you have two sons. Two sons that came to you as adults or semi-adults.
Yeah, they were 9 and 11 when I met them.
9 and 11.
Yeah, they are awesome. Don't see them as much or enough, but it's cool to watch them become adults and get on with their lives, and it's really neat to watch. So yeah, of course, family is important to me. Like, I'm not gonna
no, I know,
deny that.
Family.
But like, my parents mean the world to me. They're amazing as well. Brilliant. And I learned actually a lot about business from my mother, who was a stay-at-home mom.
That's really cool.
But she managed 10 of us, like a family of 10. I have 7 siblings and my father, and yeah, so when it comes to budgeting, when it comes to organizing, when it comes to project management, I learned so much from my mom.
Wow, that's so cool. You know what? I mean, I've known this all along. Carol and I both are from a family of 10. And while I worked beside my mom, I never thought of my mom in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But she had to be. Maybe she was the real one in business, and it wasn't my dad.
Yeah, and my dad is the one who really connected me to nature. He was a geography teacher for years, so every car trip was a geography lesson. Different landforms, and every summer we would go camping as kids and as a family, and they took us across Canada camping. So that's where I really learned my love of nature.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
That is so awesome. Wow. And you have a lot of nieces and nephews. I know that you're in connection with a lot of them, and some of them have children now as well, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So it's interesting to me because I often, in my mind, think of you as kind of solo, and you're not. There's a lot of people around you, and yet you have this energy of kind of traveling solo in this world. And it's not that energy of lonely. It's really forging your own path on what really speaks to you.
Yeah, I actually feel quite solo most of the time, and I've actually gone out of my way to be solo a lot of time as well. Right.
And you're comfortable in that space, yes?
Totally comfortable. I get myself. Not a lot of people get me, so.
That's an awesome statement. I get myself. I love it. I'm so glad you get yourself. I'm really grateful. And for a lot of people, they won't realize this, but Carol is a integral part in the day-to-day operations of the Inspired Choices Network. She supports me and the rest of the crew in ensuring that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and taking care of the behind the scenes with our newsletter, with all of the live production and the replay production that goes on each and every day here on the station. So her attention to detail is really important to this network. So I'm so grateful that you're here, and she's always coming up with new ideas too. So, I may give her some ideas, but she gives me just as many. And I'm like, oh God, Carol gave me another idea. I don't even want to open that email.
At least now I label them with, at least now the subject title is another idea, so you can choose it or not.
This is Carol and I, our love-hate relationship. It's not really hate, but it's like, oh God, here it comes. And we're kind of like covering our eyes, like, I want to look, and I know as soon as I look, oh my God, I'm engaged. And we're totally cool that the other one does that. In fact, we can nearly hear them in our head as we send that email. Hit the send button. Oh my gosh, so much fun.
And there are a lot of ideas that don't necessarily go anywhere, but it's still good to have them. They still keep the juices running, so that's always a good thing.
Oh, okay. So you're telling me that you always tell me them, or there's some that you don't tell me?
Oh, there are plenty that I don't tell you because I know that they're going to end up being my work.
Oh, now I have to trick her to tell me, even though I don't want her to tell me, but I have to have her tell me because they're good. Oh my God, we are. I tell you, you'd think it was Friday night and we were drinking wine. Right now, we are having so much fun. Oh my God, Carol, you're such a gift. Okay, we're going to take a quick little break. When we get back, we're going to wrap up here with Carol Glover on the Open Mic Spotlight show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame. You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
There we go. Wow, this was a really, really wonderful conversation today with Carol Glover, having so much laughter. Carol, before we close off today, tell all of our listeners what you're creating in the world right now. We've talked about your books, and then tell us a little bit about the Open Mic Spotlight Show.
You mean writing on air?
Oh, sorry. Oh, my God. Yes. More coffee required. More coffee. Or did you think I was handing this over to you?
I don't know. The Writing on Air radio show is a platform for authors and bloggers and writers of all kinds to be found, be heard, and I really love it because it's it lets readers know a little bit more about the person behind the pen, and that's really exciting to me, and really it sort of fleshes out the person that wrote the book, that may have completely inspired people or made them think or made them laugh, and that's the whole thing. It also is supported by the website writingonair.net, where you get to find out more about the authors. There will be articles up there, find resources to help you with your writing, and a real platform for writers that's being built, and I'm very, very excited about that. So while I was tricked into doing the radio show, it has really become so much more about that. So
how long are you going to play that drum that you
forever. Forever. I was totally tricked, and I love it though.
Awesome. So. I wonder what I can trick you into this week. Okay, we have just got a little bit more than a minute left. Carol, can you tell me, what is your message for 2017 to the world?
Oh God. You can have it all. You can do it all. You can be anything. And everything else is just a lie.
Everything else is just a lie. So we're still talking to ourselves and that 12-year-old in us, right?
Yeah, totally.
Wonderful.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, my friend, it's always a pleasure to dance with you and laugh with you. We don't create it often enough. So I think that there's a get together in our future very soon, please. And again, thank you for everything that you are creating in the world. You definitely are a gift in my life, and you're definitely a gift to all of our listeners and all of our hosts here on the network, and to all of your clients that you work with. So thank you very much for choosing more of you.
Thank you, Christine. You made all of this really, really come out and be okay. So that was huge. Thank you. You have changed my life.
All right, now we're going to start to cry. Okay, so thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Stay tuned for another Open Mic Spotlight show where we'll find more about amazing people bringing their voice to the world. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and remember to always keep using you.
Thank you for listening to the Open Mic Spotlight radio show. We will be here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Mountain, and 6 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, continue to create you with joy and inspiration.